Hello and welcome, everybody out there in Union Arena land. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Today, I wanted to talk to you all about the current state of the game and to add little bit of alleviation from all the tension that people have around Kenshin right now. A lot of people online have been doomsdaying about this situation, saying it's a tier 0 deck, it's unbeatable, it's way too good for our meta, yada, 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 yada. And for the most part, they are correct. It is a incredibly powerful deck, especially to be introduced into NA so early, considering, well, other than one card that's kind of not even being played in Japan, it is the tier 1 deck in Japan right now. But our meta is significantly different than theirs, and we have a lot of different decks that can survive against our generalized meta outside of Kenshin itself that otherwise in Japan could not possibly be winning if they're playing against something, say, SAO Purple with the songs and all of that fancy jazz, or Kuman Riders, or any of those other decks that they have that's like incredibly powerful, way too fast, and way too synergistic for us to keep up with. So I wanted to go through a list of decks that I have personally been testing over the past couple of weeks, as well as a couple of honorable mentions from people who have been very adamant about their testing and how it plays into Red Kenshin. If you are looking to beat Red Kenshin specifically, any of these decks here are decks that you can comfortably lock in, be able to get your reps in, play, represent, and then expect some type of victory against Kenshin. Yes, there's still going to be an RNG component to it, and not all of these have obscene win rates against Kenshin, but majority of them have at least a 50-50 coin flip, which comes down to skill expression. So be better. The first one on the list is the most obvious one that we have right now, and that is Roy Mustang. Roy Mustang is really one of those decks that expresses why NA is so much different than JP is, right? Because in JP, Roy Mustang is like tier 3, tier 4, unplayable, because you're just removing something. Okay, I'm going to guarantee remove that the following turn, and no matter what you're doing outside of that, I'm going to swarm faster, kill you faster. And over in JP, you can't do that. But in our meta, Roy is something that is sustainably good, considering only half of our decks have 8 removal plus inside of them. And right now, we're starting to get even better decks that don't have 8 removal inside of them. The fact that Roy Mustang is a must-answer card means if you end up playing him, your opponent has to have a removal for him the turn you play him, or he exponentially becomes more and more powerful and will help you take over the game. He nets you additional removal every single turn in the style of not even utilizing an action point because of his attack mechanic. He is incredibly powerful. He draws a card on enter, and it is an insanely good deck. And later today, I'm going to be interviewing Nami Lover, who is second place at LA Regionals, piloting this pile specifically. Now, his list had -1 Riza, +1 Vato. It's probably better, but I'm going to be real with you. I paid for 4 Judge Rizas. I'm playing 4 Judge Rizas. So that's going to be my style of the deck list. And one notable thing that we noticed in that is he had Alex Louis Armstrong, an absurdly powerful card into Red Kenshin, considering they only have 4 removal. If you have these 2 cards on the front line, your opponent has to analyze which one is the must-answer threat. The one that has double damage, free blocks one of your characters every single turn, no matter what you do, and if he wins a battle while attacking, draws you 2 cards, or the guy who is a removal spell every single turn he's in play. Red Kenshin is a deck that, though it has its Raid Kenshin ability to push one of your characters back, that doesn't remove the character. So they really have to think which one of these is going to be the one that I have to get rid of now, because typically speaking, they're not going to draw both of their removal spells. The deck has good filtering, but it doesn't have very good card advantage, which is really what you need in order to see these types of events like specials on them. So if you're looking to get some good reps in, if you're looking into beating Kenshin a bit more consistently and having better skill expression, Roy Mustang, in my testing, has been fantastic against it. Now, the next deck on the list that deserves an honorable mention is Squad Zero and Ichigo. I know, I know. We've been listening about this deck for so many months because how obscenely powerful it is. And my version of the deck is very different than what has been winning more consistently. And I'm going to walk through the logic of it. Squad Zero is a deck that can really capitalize on having your own cards in the removal area. So even if you are removing cards from your sideline, you're not being punished that much. And it's a deck that has an obscene amount of removal and decently strong card advantage. One of the main card advantage engines is the Royal Palace. Now, in my testing, playing a site early game against Kenshin is GG. You're losing. Unless you happen to just naturally, organically draw your turn extenders against them so that you can make up that loss of an action point, it takes up a spot on your backline. You don't want to be removing it because it's your only card advantage. You can't push it up to chump block. You can't push it up to attack with. Sites are really difficult to play into decks that are that aggressive. However, in every other matchup in the game, other than like, I don't know, Speedo Sonic, Shikigamis, Royal Palace is an insanely absurd card to play against them because they're slower. So I moved this down to a 2 of, and I opted just to have the deck be a bit more of the controlling top end and 4K spam capabilities. The fact that you are less punished than every other deck in the format, by removing your things on the back line, and this Ichigo says, hey, you have things that are in the removal area. Cool, I have double damage now, or possibly impact now. Yay, thank you. It makes it incredibly powerful. Incredibly, incredibly, incredibly powerful. Now, somebody might test a different version to find a better, more consistent way that Squad Zero does well into it, but I think if you're going to be moving away from the Squad Zero package to achieve that, just play Renji Rush. Renji Rush in general is an insanely good deck, and it can keep up with Kenshin very, very well. Mostly because of the Kisuke card. Let me get him up real quick. Boop, this guy right here. These cards in general are going to be obscenely good into Kenshin matchups because it allows you to hit your curve, especially if you're a 4K 4-drop body spam deck. You can hit your curve. You have the open spots on your energy line because they're producing 2. They're early. You don't mind if you lose them. The only downside is when you hit them out of life. But having these types of cards on your backline is going to save you a lot of damage against Kenshin, unless, of course, they're just spamming out the impactor, pushing your things back organically, in which case, okay, they live the dream. That happens. But I think if you're going to be moving away from Squad Zero, you just go with Renji Rush instead, and that's going to be way, way, way better. Moving right along, this is one that I haven't personally tested with, but from what I hear from the people that are huge SAO players, Ironcrad is going to be insanely good into Kenshin, or at least that 50-50 that people are looking for. So the reason the deck is good is because the longer cards like this Ichigo remain on the field, the stronger it is. At the end of this character's attack, you may swap it with an Asuna on your energy line. So if you're able to do the swap mechanics, your opponent then attacks into you, your Asuna moves back to the back line, you can push up this Ichigo, active main, swap out something else on your front line with that Asuna, give her her abilities. This entire deck, the more you can keep the 2 of these or any of these cards in play, the more powerful it becomes. So it is an incredibly strong style of deck that, well, it lacks in one field against Kenshin, and that is consistency. It does have its searcher here, but Kirito, unfortunately, bottom decks the specials, which you do need to utilize against Kenshin. I haven't done any of the testing personally, but it does get to be aggressive and not get punished by having your things be pushed to the back line. Now, of course, the Kenshin does have the 4-2 equalizer, but a lot of people seem to be playing that only as a 2 of. Personally, I think that's a mistake. I think that card, now that people are learning how to play against Kenshin, it goes up. It goes up in stonks. It's really good. You want to see it. So if people are only going to be playing 2, take advantage of that. Just beat them down. And, oh no, my things moved to the back line. But yeah, that's going to be that one. Next one. There it is. It loaded for me. Oh boy. Watchdog Man and Metal Bat. For anybody who hasn't been paying attention, this card has been hilarious into the Kenshin matchup. It pretty much reads, "You need to use your special on me." Ha. He is a 4K 3 drop, so you can play him on rate to be at the same size quality as the red color trigger Kenshin. Double energy producer, which, I mean, if you need him to be that, he can be that for you. That's more relevant in other matchups. But the main thing about this card that makes him so obscene is this character cannot move, meaning your opponent attacks you with a Kenshin, let's just say the red color trigger one. He's a 4K, you're a 4K, you go, I block with Watchdog Man. Now, Watchdog Man loses the battle. He is resting because he blocked. Because the Kenshin's effect is a replacement effect, not an optional effect, my Watchdog Man gets pushed to the backline. Because Watchdog Man says he cannot move, he does not move to the backline, meaning I get a free block every single turn he is in play. He's a must-answer card against Kenshin, and he's one of those tech cards that's really going to be insanely good against them. The other component of about this deck that makes it so strong into the Kenshin matchup in particular is this color trigger metal bat. Anytime you can play a 2 or 3 drop step card against Kenshin means they cannot mind game you. So early game, they can play, here's my 0 cost 2K, and I'm ready to push up with it. You go, cool, I'm going to put my 1 cost 2.5 on the front, screwing over my energy line potentially because I want to stave off your aggression. They go, okay, cool, I step it back. So you put that thing on the front line for no reason other than to risk triggers early game. Hopefully it doesn't screw you over that much, but their explosive draw is going to be hitting you way harder than it's going to be hitting them. When you are doing the I play my thing to the front line with a step card, that is where it becomes a lot better for you. Because then they have to look at it and go, all right, cool, yeah, you did the thing I was about to do anyways. They untap, they move their thing back, they start filling their energy line. You can either leave yours in the front line and swing with it, or you can step it back and you didn't lose any tempo on energy line whatsoever. Anything that is a 2, 3, possibly even 4 drop step cards are going to move up in stonks because of how good Kenshin is and how good they are against it. The other thing about this deck that makes it insane against Kenshin is Metal Bat. He is always a nullify impactor. So if you vanilla him to the front line, he is a nullify impactor. Because he loses the battle when you attack with your impactor, he still nullifies the impact, but then he just comes back to my backline. If you're not killing Metal Bat, he's a 4K impactor. Okay, I'm in for that. If you play the 4-2, I'm going to be making sure I'm positioning myself in a manner that, like, if I lose things on my backline, okay, I lose them. But if you decide, all right, things are actually going to die, I'm going to let you kill my Metal Bat, discard a card, and keep my Nullify Impactor in play. It's going to be perfectly okay with me because, honestly, Impact doesn't win the game against Kenshin for this deck. They don't go wide very well. They're going to be forced to block because you run just as many 4Ks as they do. Despite this saying there's only 17, you have to increase that number by 4 for Puri Puri. Not to mention, this little fellow right here, yeah, if my board's full, he can't be blocked by any of your 35s or bigger. Insanely good card. This one, in all of my testing, has been the best win rate against Kenshin. Outside of another rogue deck that I think is so bad into every other matchup, I'm not possibly going to be putting it on this list. But yeah, it has a lot of really good things and a lot of features that is strong into our current meta. So be on the lookout of playing Metal Bat. Its one drawback is its consistency. It does not have card advantage outside of draw triggers, which it has 12 of them, but that's not really saying much. One thing you might notice is I'm only running 3 finals, and that's because majority of the time you're just using finals to go wide on your board, so it loses some of its value. There is a world where I'll play another one and I'll trim, say, a Silver Fang, but honestly, 3 Silver Fangs has been insanely good for me in every matchup I've been playing it in, so I'm probably just going to keep it. Now, the next one on the list that, well, we have to be ready for, we have to be prepared for. Yeah, Toshi. Now, this is pre-binder, so if you are not somebody getting the binder, I made sure I kept all of these cards as I am going to be playing it against Kenshin in our current meta. This deck is very, very good into Kenshin. It's not fantastic, but at least you can trade blows with them and have a lot more stopping power than they do. One of the better cards in the deck is this Kenpachi. If you go wide on your board, you have 6 other things the turn you play him. You have to play him to the front line because he cannot be played to or moved onto the energy line. You blow up one of their 4Ks. And then from that point on, they have to special him. They have to. He needs to go away. He is terrifying. That card needs to go away. He's impact. But he has the Watchdog Man mechanic of he can't move to the back line. So I'm going to get a free block every turn on this guy. Even if you're just playing him as a 2 AP blow up a 2K, that's really good into Kenshin in general, to the point where I kind of want to find a way to fit a third one into this deck, but I'm kind of hesitant in doing that. Not to mention, Toshi being able to freeze their backline cuts them off of some of their card advantage that they generate from their the 3-drop girl who you can rest to draw a card. I don't know the mechanics of the deck. I don't know the name of the decks. I know the mechanics. But the fact that you can freeze their scary double attacker or impactor if you need to, and then their backline as well, this Toshi is insanely good into them. And the more you can cycle the Toshi, the better it becomes. You then have this Kenpachi, which sadly for them, they cannot be targeting to be killing. This character cannot be affected by BP reducing effects. That doesn't matter in the slightest. If this character leaves the battlefield due to one of your opponent's abilities or battle, you may place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. If you do, keep the bottom card in play. Now, that only matters if he's rated on top of a 4-drop, either this Kenpachi or this Kenpachi. But the fact that even if they go special, put him on the bottom of your deck, okay, I discard a card, I'm saving an AP and keeping a 5K attacker or this guy in play. It's kind of insane. And you can always just go, I'm blocking with him anyways. The dude's insanely good into them, which makes the matchup even worse. Now, before Kenshin, I was not interested in playing Sajin anymore in this deck. We got the new 2 mana or 2 energy affinity guy who double gens if you have 3 or more other dudes. I think he is way, 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 way better than Sajin is. However, Step is invaluable against Kenshin. It's so good. Being able to, on curve, be like, I put this guy on my front line. They have to look at it and go, you have a free block, congratulations. Because even if they don't attack into you, you just move him to the back line anyway. So it's literally free for you. They can't beat through you when you play cards like this. So that's why I put him back into the list. You have the Rengokus that allow you to go wide so long as you have Toshis. You have the Toshis. You have the Yachiro that makes Kenpachi even scarier. And then just your usual setup, filter cards, reanimate Toshi, bring him back to your hand, all of the normal jazz. This deck is insanely good into the Kenshin matchup, but before the binder, it lacks consistency. Yes, I know, we sound like a broken record here. However, let's move the record on to after the binder. Oh boy, does this deck do a lot now. You know how I was saying we are lacking the consistency? What if I told you we now have a 1-drop? That's just the 1-drop Rizza card. Literally, it's that card, but it's 13 court guard. Yeah. And then we have a 2-drop, search the top 3 for somebody, put them in your hand. Court guard. Everybody's a court guard, so that's fine. With a draw trigger. What if I told you that the Toshi color trigger was no longer just played as another Toshi raid target? Because this is a double energy producer on play, draw a card. Fantastic raid target still for the deck. And then we still have the Rongikus that allow you to go wide because we are playing a large sum of 0, 1s, and 2s in the deck. And then we have the binder Kenpachi as well. He's a 3-drop when you play him from your hand, but if your opponent has anything big in play, he's a 4K on your turn. Double energy producer on top of that, the deck loses all of its inconsistency and gains a lot more big body threat, which is honestly what the deck was kind of missing to begin with. The one issue that we are running into is this version of the deck cannot fit the 4-2 Kenpachi into it easily. You can choose to trim the Rengokus in order to fit him in, But in all honesty, I kind of like the Rengokus for going wide so you can get the freeze all of your things off of Toshi immediately effect. Now, this deck is going to be good into our meta as a whole. It hits the back line, it hits one character on the front line, and that is, it is frozen. No matter what you do, it remains resting until the end of your turn. Period, end of sentence. Don't argue, don't active trigger, nothing. If you raid over top of it, it's a new card, but it stays resting. Very, 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 very good. And its Kenshin matchup is great because, I mean, yeah, you have so much consistency, big freeze on Toshi and scary Kenpachi that they can't remove anyways. So, yeah, it's really, really good. Moving along is the next best deck against Kenshin. The second best deck to play against Red Kenshin in all of the testing I've been seeing with everybody, and that is Red Kenshin. Now, mirror matches typically are the most egregious, horrifying things to have to deal with, right? We know that mirror matches are very difficult because it's mostly RNG based. The Kenshin mirror match is not RNG based whatsoever. It is a fantastically skill-dependent matchup that really does emphasize how good you are as a player and how good the deck is in general. You need to know how to beat your opponent. You need to know what they are doing based off of what they are playing. It is highly skill dependent. And I'm telling you, if you are playing Kenshin, you need to know the mirror match and know how to beat it, because it's not as easy as, oh, well, I drew better. In some cases, it is that easy. But in the majority of cases, sadly, it will not be. So yeah, you have to be aware of this. You need to be careful about this, and you need to be cautious about this. Now, the one deck that has currently the best win rate against Red Kenshin. Open up. Perfect. That's right, your boy Saito. This card, pre-binder for Bleach, is the bane to Kenshin. You are able to be more aggressive. You have an outsized card that can outsize, well, some of their zero costs. You have body spamming capabilities with this card. You have the ability to nullify impact and just push your dude back to the back line while generating card advantage who can't be blocked by their little zeros. And then you have snipe impact. All of these cards together. Oh, and early, I move my guy to the front line to hit you. All of these cards together, it is an egregiously bad matchup for Red Kenshin once you know how to pilot and play it. The deck is absurd. The deck is incredibly good. It's one of the best decks in our entire format. It's just strong into mostly everything. And it is one of the reasons Kenshin as an IP is just insanely powerful. If you are looking to have some good matches against Red Kenshin, learn how to play against it running Saito. And that is to say, Saito is one of the best decks in the format. This is the hardest counter to Red Kenshin out there. You still lose to their medium to high roll draw, yes, but outside of that, you have a very good matchup. Even card for card, your average draws, average life triggers, yeah, this Saito takes it with pretty much ease. Now, that is all of the decks that have been thoroughly tested, but now I'm going to show you my spicy deck. Big Man Yamamoto. Postbinder only, of course. This deck, holy cow, is it terrifying for Kenshin. I have been playtesting it, and I have lost 2 games out of 12 games against Kenshin, piloting Yamamoto. So, first off, 5k body, they can't get through that. They need to use their special on it, which is okay. You have a target for them to special. When played, you can move any number of 13 courts from your back line to the front line. When he attacks, all of your 13 courts gain 2k. Every single character is a 13 court, right? So, if you push up, say, this double energy producer who has double attack, or this double energy producer who has damage 2, or this guy who's just going to be a free push up anyways, or this guy who's going to be a push-up if you really need him to be, but can be a triple energy producer one time, or this guy. After attacking with Yamamoto, every single card in this deck, other than these two cards, are 4Ks. 4K double attack or double damage, 4K double attack, or bigger, 5Ks, 6Ks. He is terrifying. And the fact that you go, cool, I raid my Yamamoto, push up, and I throw 3 other things up to my front line with him from my energy line. Kenshin needs the 4-2 that turn. If they don't have the 4-2 that turn, they need a special to answer Yamamoto, but they'll attack you and you go, oh no, I block with my 2K double energy producer who goes to the backline. Teehee. Or I block with my double damager goes to the backline. Teehee. I didn't lose any energy tempo. That was one of the biggest issues with Yamamoto before the binder came out. The other issue that he had was consistency. We now have the 1-drop Shinji. We now have the 2-drop Shunsui. The consistency is there, I think. I still need to mess around with the numbers a little bit more because I want to run 13 court. 13 in green. Event. I want to run this. Look at the top 4, add 2 13 court characters to your hand. I want to run this, but it's really hard to fit into the deck while maintaining the necessary double energy producers because he is a 7-drop. But I'm telling you, it is really, really good. As far as big dumb decks into Red Kenshin goes, this is the biggest, dumbest, greatest. That is good against it. Lancelot sure does get to kill something, I guess, but if they can retaliate against you in a meaningful manner, you still lose with Lancelot. This deck, if they can retaliate against you in a meaningful manner, you refill your energy line. Okay, I'm in. But yes, that's going to be all of the decks that I have tested, and I want to hear from everybody else. Let me know of any decks that you've been testing to see what all you are performing well against Kenshin with. What are the decks that you think are going to be the equalizers or the ones to crawl up to the surface and surprise people with how good they are in our meta if anybody's really a meta slave and decides, I'm going to play Red Kenshin because it is the best deck in the format, which it is, but we have a lot of tools to be able to punish those people, don't we? So, thank you all for watching. Hope you all had a fantastic time. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.